Sales is one of the best experiences anyone could have in their career, especially when it comes to tech. The income potential is quite high, and the job itself can be an excellent pathway to careers in marketing, project management, product management, operations. But is it really worth it? What might you need to know about tech sales before you go and jump into it? In this video, I'm gonna cover the pros and cons to help you make a more informed decision. So before I even get started, if you're new to the channel, my name is Richard Walls and I'm here to help you with career development and personal finance. So if either of those topics are of interest to you, make sure to subscribe down below and hit the notification bell so you get notified of when I post new content. So with that said, let's get started. We'll begin with the good parts of tech sales. Pro number one is that it is an easy pathway into tech. Now, I've mentioned this in other videos, but truly it is the case that sales is one of the easiest ways to break into the tech industry if you have no experience, no degree. And that's partly because there's a lot of demand out there in the job market and not quite enough people that are interested or even thinking about it. Maybe because the idea of sales is uncomfortable. They perhaps have some inaccurate preconceptions about it. But whatever the case, there's a huge opportunity here. So whether you actually end up liking sales and earning a really good income off of it and staying in it for the long haul, or you just end up moving to one of many non-sales roles, sales is an amazing starting point. And although the barrier to entry for this type of role is relatively low, if you want to give yourself the best chance of landing a role successfully and being successful in the role itself, you can do that by checking out Course Careers. I've got a link in the description below along with a coupon discount you can use. That's for my audience. This is a totally online, self-paced tech sales bootcamp that really serves as an education to job pathway. I've also got some videos on the topic that I'll link in the description below that you can check out, learn a little bit more about it. It's an incredible value for what can turn into a sales role that earns you anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 a year, with sky being the limit, and that's going to be your entry point. Pro number two is high income potential. What's typical in sales is that there's a compensation structure that is a base plus commission. Could be 70% base, 30% commission, or a 60-40. It varies by company. Some companies are entirely commission. And as you work your way up in sales, that base salary and commission cap ends up becoming a lot higher, and your efforts will yield a much greater reward. So it's not entirely unusual to see some sales executives making more than $250,000 a year. Pro number three is that it builds your confidence if you really work at it. It teaches you how to effectively communicate and influence. It also teaches you to become a better listener. And you're almost forced into developing these skills and becoming better because, well, your income depends on it. And all the people skills that you develop in a sales role translates to just about any role you can think of at any company. This is largely why I recommend everyone do sales at least some point in their careers. It is absolutely character building in a way that no other role is. Now, there's actually more good to talk about, but for the sake of brevity, I'm gonna move on to some of the negatives that you might expect. Con number one is it is difficult. There are so many factors that are out of your control that can impact your success. And it requires you to be good enough and have the abilities to work through that and overcome some of those challenges. Control what you can control to succeed. In fact, as of the making of this video, there has been quite an economic downturn. And depending on what someone might be selling, customers may not be as enthusiastic to spend money on the product that maybe someone is selling. And if you're great at sales, you have a greater chance than most at still finding a way to make it work, so long as the solution is still right for the customer. But truth be told, there can be some really difficult periods where you're simply not going to have the success that you had hoped for. That in turn can be quite demoralizing if you don't have the right mindset. But on the topic of difficult periods of time, that leads me to my second point. Con number two is the income can be unstable. Because these roles are partly commission-based, it means that if you're not able to sell effectively, you are missing out on income. Like with any job, you're going to have times where you are successful and other times where you're just having a really rough go at it. Now, if you're in a non-sales role, something that's purely salary based, those times of difficulty don't really translate into a drop in income. But in sales, it does. And ultimately, it's not that huge of a deal if you are budgeting appropriately. If you're living well under your means, which is something I always recommend, then you're able to weather those kinds of downturns. Con number 3 is pressure. Your success will be determined by how much money you are bringing into the company. This is ultimately how you are evaluated. You've got certain financial goals to hit, perhaps some other metrics to consider as well. And if you go too long without meeting expectations, then your job is at risk. Now, a good company will work with you. They will coach you. They will find opportunities for you to become better because, well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to drop someone at the first sign of trouble, because then they have to go and find someone else and train them, ramp them up, which takes time and money. So it doesn't make a lot of sense from a lot of different standpoints. So again, a good company is going to be there. They're going to coach you. They're going to help you improve. But again, there's only so long they can do that for until they start needing to see results. So there's a unique pressure in sales that you won't find in the same way in other roles. And you have to be prepared for that. If you adopt a mindset of determination, self-improvement, you're always looking for ways to become a better version of yourself, you will give yourself a much higher chance of success despite the pressure. So folks, let me know down in the comments below what you think. If you've been in tech sales, what has been your experience? And if you're considering a move into tech, particularly tech sales, what are your reasons for it and what are your career goals? And if you are considering tech sales as a career move, you'll want to check out the video here where I talk about Course Careers, the online self-paced tech sales bootcamp that I talked about earlier. And I also talk about sales as a profession, just in general, not necessarily tech specific. So folks, hope this video helped. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around.